Hey guys, I wanted to make this guide in order to help you make a flyer team. I really enjoy playing flyer teams mainly because of their unrestricted movement and their unique ability to teleport units around. I don't think other emblems can do that, like infantry or cavalry. So, yeah, this guide is mainly focused for free-to-play players, new players, or players that or basically players that are like, hey, you know what, I want to try out a flyer team. So, yeah, let's get started. One of the resources I love using is GamePress. This website right here has tons of cool stuff like IV calculators, tier lists, simulators are pretty fun. But the most visited section I use is the heroes list. And what I really like about the heroes list is you can apply a bunch of filters to the heroes and then get a list of heroes that are relevant to what you want. So in our case, we're gonna look at flyers. Before we go further, I think it's important to specify some parameters. Because it's free to play friendly, I'm only gonna use two 5-star units. So as awesome as it would be to use 4 5-star units, it's just that much harder to get that many copies of those units for merges. So we really need to use some cheaper common quote unquote units. Another parameter I'm going to set is I'm not going to go for seasonal or limited units like these guys. As awesome as these units are, they're that much harder to get. Like they're even more harder to get than a 5-star unit because they only appear once per year on their respective seasonal banner and then they show up on legendary banners and they share a color on legendary banners. So it's just very, very hard to pull these guys. You're going to be spending way too many orbs. So I'm going to ignore these guys. Another category I'm going to ignore are Grand Heroes. These guys are only available for as a limited copies. Like there's only so many you can get of these guys. So it's just, I mean, they're especially Michaelis and Valter, I think they're great units, but because they're limited in how many merges you can get, I'm gonna ignore these guys as well. So with that said, so yeah, to repeat, two 5-star units and no seasonals, no Grand Heroes. Alright, so let's get started. Let's take a look at our red pool first. We have these two we're gonna ignore. We have Paula and Seda, and we have Valencia. Valencia is a 5-star unit. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna ignore Elencia mainly because we're really limited on how many 5-stars we can use, right? And I feel like there's better 5-stars in the green and red pools. So that's why I'm just gonna skip Elencia. She's a decent unit, but yeah, I just don't feel like she can compete with the other 5-star units from the other pools. So you basically boil down to Seda and Pala. It's really a coin flip between these two. Depending on who you have more of, just go with that. I think Seda just barely edges out over Pala with her new refine. But honestly, it's anybody's call. If you have more of Pala, just go Pala. So let's write all this information down. It really helps to organize our thoughts. Seda or Pala, take your pick. Let's look at the next pool. Let's look at colorless because there's not a whole lot. Spring Kagero we're gonna ignore. Legendary Robin is a great unit, but she's a legendary hero, and you can only get legendary heroes on their legendary banners. And with seasonals, legendary heroes share color. And it's hard to pull legendary heroes. Like it's just hard. She's a good unit to have, but given our parameters, she's just too expensive for us, so we're gonna have to skip her. Hinoka, or Wings of Fate Hinoka, was a recently added hero. I really like her. I'll have more words to say about her later, but she's basically, I have to put her down as her colorless flyer because she's literally the only option. So let's write her down. Next, let's look at some green flyers. So we're gonna ignore these three guys. And so we have two options for your 5-star green flyer, Minerva or Myrrh. Right off the bat, Myrrh is really appealing with her high BST, and her weapon gives her +3 attack and prevents follow-ups. It's really, really awesome. She's the strongest enemy phase flyer unit in the game, hands down. So with that said, I feel like she completely outclasses Minerva. Minerva is she has a different place, but for our green flyer 5-star pick, I would go with Myrrh. So let's write that down. And then for our 3 to 4-star green flyer pick, we have Baruka, Camilla, or Shirsh, whatever. Baruka, I don't really find an appeal to Baruka. She has this weird gimmicky playstyle that revolves around Ignis procs to get her damage off, and I just find it unreliable and restricted kind of playstyle. I would not recommend Baruka personally wouldn't recommend Baruka. So it's really between Camilla and Shirsh. Shirsh kind of suffers from the same issue as Baruka. She has this one build which revolves around Brave Axe and stacking attack. And it's a good build, but it's very player focused and it's kind of inflexible. She really can only go that route, and or at least that's one of her main routes that she can go. And I guess it's a high risk, high reward kind of playstyle, but my question would be, is the reward big enough for her to be justified as a pick over Camilla? In my opinion, I don't think so, especially given Camilla's new Refine, which gives her +4 attack, +4 speed pretty consistently, given that she'll be on a flyer team. Like on a flyer team, she'll always have that buff on her, or often. And plus, because her weapon is refinable, she gets +3 HP, or you can opt to get +3 speed, for example. So she has the ability to get some stats from her refinable weapon. Because Shirsh runs Brave Axe, she doesn't have that option to get some stats. Brave Axe isn't refinable. So that's the reason why I would go Camilla. Plus, some more icing on the cake for Camilla would be her weapon is very, very team friendly. If she goes the effective route, she can buff her teammates for +3 attack and +3 speed, which is very nice. So my pick for a 3 in the 3-4-star pool for a green flyer would be Camilla. So let's look at the final pool, which is blue. And there's a lot of flyers here, so we're going to apply another filter. We're going to ignore Valter. And let's just take a look at Ketria. I don't really find anything too appealing about Ketria either. I feel like she just gets outclassed by other strong 4-star units like Shigure, or Shigure, however you pronounce that, and Cordelia. So I wouldn't recommend Ketria. She just gets outclassed. Claire is decent. I like Claire, but because we have Seda already, Claire is essentially, literally, a blue Seda. So, like, there would be too much overlap if you decide to run Claire. So for that reason, I would not choose Claire. Cordelia, I'm going to come back to Cordelia, actually, and Est, Florina, Shauna, like Ketria, I feel like they get outclassed by other picks in this pool. Tsubaki as well. Not gonna go too much in depth with them. Nothing against players who do decide to use them, but in my opinion, and like this entire video is my opinion, I just I wouldn't recommend these over other picks. Now Cordelia and Shigure, I'm really surprised at Shigure at how high Shigure's total is, especially since he has a strong lance and he has ward flyers, which is a pretty sought after skill. Yeah, I'm just very surprised at how power crept, I guess, they made this guy. Um, like surprised and kind of annoyed even. But because of this, I feel like he outclasses Cordelia now. He trades 2 attack for 2 speed, which is a pretty good trade, and he gets another 5 defense. So stats wise, I would say he's much better than Cordelia. Cordelia does have the advantage of being more available because she's been released longer and she's in the 3-star pool. I don't think Shigure is in the 3-star pool, only the 4-star. So she has more availability, but purely as a unit, not considering availability, I would say Shigure definitely takes it. So let's put Shigure as your pick in the 3 to 4-star pool for your blue flyer. That said, now let's take a look at the 5-star pool. So Summer Corin we can't use. Morgan is unique in the way that she's a magical damage unit in a class that is very physical, especially since we're not looking at limited units. So she would be a really good pick. So I'm not even gonna discuss too much. I'm just gonna write her down. And it comes between Tana and Hinoka. I really like Hinoka over Tana, mainly purely because of her weapon. And like I said for Camilla, because we're going to be running her on a flyer team, her offenses are going to be 39, 36, which are higher than Tana's. It's not consistent, but like I said, it's on a flyer team, so it's pretty dang consistent. The only thing Tana has going for her is her +7 defense, but her weapon isn't refinable. So Hinoka enjoys the fact that she can get +3 HP, or she can get +5 HP and get 3+ speed if she chooses to refine her weapon for stats. Tana doesn't enjoy that. She can't refine her weapon, and if she does opt to refine her weapon, she loses on her defensive stats from her regular weapon. So for that reason, I would recommend Hinoka over Tana. I know Game Press has Tana over Hinoka, but I really disagree with that. I think Hinoka is the better flyer, better physical flyer. So let's write that down as well. Hinoka. So now we have a list. Let me kind of make it nicer. So this is our list of what I believe to be kind of the premier flyers in the game, given our parameters. So let's actually try to make some teams out of them. So let's do this. Seda, we're gonna have to opt into picking Seda because she's our only red flyer. We're gonna have to opt into picking WF Hinoka. And you can say, well, hey, you know what? What if I don't want to pick a colorless? What if I want to run 2 blue lances, or 2 blue flyers or 2 green flyers? You can definitely do that, but I highly recommend WF Hinoka as a unit because she's just really strong. She's a bow unit, which is nice to have because there's flyers and you want an effective weapon against flyers. And she does really well against armors as well. I feel like she kind of went overlooked, or like people kind of dismissed her because they didn't think she was good enough. She wasn't one-shotting enough enemies, but I really think she one-shots a lot of dang armors. If you build her right, this video, I'm not going to go over builds or anything, but I really like WF Hinoka. And some more icing on the cake would be her weapon is very, very team oriented with her drive attack, plus 3 attack to other units. So that's kind of my reasoning for defaulting on WF Hinoka. Really strong unit, in my opinion. We can go Mer, and then we can go, because we have 2 5-star locked units, we have to go Shigure here. So this would be Team A, I guess you could say. Pretty solid team, in my opinion. Yeah, you have some magical damage and a wall in Mer. Shigure would be your offensive. These 3 would be your offensive flyers. You can even run like DC on Seda if you wish. So yeah, that's Team A. Let's go to Team B. We're gonna have to we have to opt into Seda, we have to opt into Hinoka, and then we have to go Camilla, and then we can go Morgan here. This team has magical damage, color coverage, and two 5-stars, which fits our parameters really well. And I think it's a really strong, it's a pretty strong team as well. The only thing that's of concern is they're kind of squishy against physical damage. So what I would do is maybe run Paula, because Paula has +4 defense over Seda. So this would be a really nice team too, I think. Works really well. So another team we could, and another route you could go is something like this. And you're like, and you can say, you know what? I don't care about magical damage. I'm gonna opt out for that. I just want physical damage, and I want really good units. And this route works fine as well. I think this route is really, really nice too, especially if you choose Shigure. This would be a pretty cheap route too, because this is a quote-unquote common unit. She's common, and Seda is common too. The only kind of exclusive unit would be Hinoka, WF Hinoka. So this would be a pretty cheap team that happens to be really strong. And you can always go Paula too. So really nice team. Or you can say, you know what, I want to take full advantage of the parameters we initially set. So I'm gonna opt into Hinoka. And you can go this route as well. And some additional comments on these 3 ladies. I really, really, really like how these 3 guys work together, because all of their weapons complement one another. WF Hinoka gives drive attack, Camilla gives like a small goad, and then Hinoka has some shenanigans, or teleportation shenanigans. Like, all of their weapons are very team oriented, and this is what I really, really like about these guys. My kind of fantasy team, or fantasy unit, to complete this really strong core would be, well, I'll just show you guys, would be a red magical damage flyer. Halloween Naui would be really, really nice to have, especially because her weapon, it has some teleportation shenanigans built in, which I really like, and she's a red damage, or red flyer that does magical damage. She would work really well here, but because of our parameters, she wouldn't fit. But what would work really, really well, I think, would be a red dragon flyer that's tanky like Mer. That would be like perfect for this team. And maybe I'm a little bit biased, but you know what? I'll just show you guys what my current team looks like. And yeah, it has these 3 units right here. I think they just work so well with each other. All of their weapons just complement each other really, really well. And you might say, well, hey, why would you go Camilla? Why wouldn't you just opt in for a Mer, which would act as a better wall and give you magical damage? And actually, I have a Mer too, and it's actually a perfect IV Mer. I really like Mer too, but I really like how these three play together. You know, they just mesh so well together. And like I said before, my ideal fourth unit would be a red dragon flyer that's tanky like Mer. That would like make this team complete. Like it would be like so awesome. But yeah, anyway, that's kind of off topic. Let's just go back to the list. So yeah, like to kind of go over this list again, yeah, like I feel like, well, again, it's this entire video is my opinion, but this these are kind of the premier flyers for their respective colors. And then you can build some cool teams around these guys. I gave like 3 examples here. You could say like, you know what, I don't want to hit a colorless flyer. You can opt into like running 2 blues or reds or blues or greens or something like that. That's completely fine. But yeah, these are just some examples I gave of I think would be pretty solid teams. And yeah, I think that's pretty much should wrap up the video. I hope it helped. And yeah, like I think that's pretty much it. Well, take care, guys. Bye.